When I started this channel, I made a decision that felt a bit unusual for YouTube. I decided to build my creative business in real time, not from the position of success, not looking back with hindsight, not pretending I've got everything figured out. And before I go any further, let me say this really clearly. I'm not a mentor, I'm not a coach, I'm not here to give you definitive advice or even a blueprint. I'm simply sharing what I'm learning as I go. The good, the bad, the uncomfortable. So if you're over 40, maybe 50, think about leaving a steady 9-to-5 job, corporate business in the corporate world, and want to start a photography business, this is the video that I wish that somebody had made for me. Most of the content out there is made by people who've already made it. They're looking back from a place of stability, success, comfort, and confidence. Nothing wrong with that, but it creates a big gap. Nobody shows the messy middle bit. They don't show the uncertainty. They don't show you the part where you're trying things and failing, where you're learning and figuring out who you are creatively. I wanted to document that part because that's the part most of us actually live through. If you spent 20, 30, 40 years in corporate life, 9-to-5 job, you're used to structure. You know your role, you're used to being competent, you're used to being respected. You're also used to a monthly salary. Suddenly you step into creative business and, well, none of that actually applies. You're the beginner again. You're learning again. You're uncertain again. And that can hit a lot harder at 50 than it ever would at 25. Building in real time is my way of saying, you're not the only one who feels like this. I could have waited until I was successful to start this channel, or not start it because I failed. I could have waited until I had a polished portfolio and stable income and a really neat story to tell. But would that have really been honest? Because the truth is, most creative businesses don't start with clarity. They start with confusion. They start with trying too many things, and they start with mistakes. And I didn't want to hide that, I just wanted to show it. When I started, I tried everything. Dog photography, because I like photographing my dog. Landscape photography, peaceful, creative, wasn't a business. Event photography, fast, it paid, but it was extremely draining. Product photography, technically interesting, but I prefer dealing with people, to be honest. And eventually, pre-hospital photography. The things that actually fit. I didn't know my niche, I didn't know my direction, and I didn't know what I wanted to build. And that's exactly why I'm documenting this journey, because most people start too wide, just like I did. Building in real time means that you get to see the decisions I make, the mistakes I make, the things I try, the things that I abandon, the things that work and those that don't. The emotional side of starting over, the financial reality behind the scene, the slow, steady progress of finding a niche. It's not all polished, it's not perfect, and it's not packaged, it's real. Building publicly forces me to stay accountable. It stops me from drifting, it stops me from hiding, it stops me from pretending. When you document your journey, you can't lie to yourself. You can't pretend you're further down the road than you actually are. And you certainly can't over the hard parts. Men, especially over 50, don't get many spaces where they could admit they're starting again. They're unsure. They're learning. They're scared of getting it wrong. They don't want to blow up their finances. They want something meaningful. They want to escape from the corporate world. They want to build something of their own. This challenge is a place where we can talk about that really openly. Not with bravado, not with ego, not with 10 steps to success, just pure honesty. I'm not saying that you should build publicly. I'm not saying that you should follow my path. I'm not saying EMS photography is the right niche. I'm not saying this is the best way to do it. I'm simply sharing what I'm learning so that you can make better decisions for yourself. I'm building in real time because I want to show the part of the journey that nobody else shows. The part where you're figuring it out, the part where you're trying things, the part where you're learning who you are and what you are creatively. The part where you're rebuilding your identity after decades in a different world. If you're over 50, leaving the corporate world and trying to build a photography business without blowing up your finances or your confidence, this channel is for you. I'm Duncan Scott and this is Duncan Scott Creative, building a creative business in real time.